What if the most profound truth about your existence, the answer to that persistent echo of "why am I here?" isn't hidden in some forgotten scroll or whispered by the stars? What if the crushing weight of seeking an external purpose is entirely misplaced, a journey leading you further from the source, not closer? The search itself might be the very thing obscuring the view, creating a fog where clarity could otherwise reside. This relentless quest often leaves us feeling more lost than when we began. This feeling, this existential ache, isn't unique to you. It's a timeless human signature, etched into our collective consciousness across millennia. Philosophers, poets, peasants, and kings have all wrestled with this phantom, the demand for inherent meaning in a universe that often seems silent, indifferent. We crave a blueprint, a pre-written destiny that assures us of our significance, our place in the grand cosmic tapestry. But what if no such blueprint was ever drafted for us? The desperate search for this external validation, this prepackaged purpose, often leads down paths of dogma, disillusionment, or even despair. We might adopt rigid belief systems, chase fleeting societal goals, or numb ourselves to the void. But the underlying question persists, sometimes resurfacing in quiet moments of reflection or periods of intense crisis. Could it be that the framework we're using to ask the question is fundamentally flawed? There exists a radical philosophical perspective, often cloaked in misconception, that dares to suggest something revolutionary. It doesn't offer comforting illusions or easy answers. Instead, it presents a stark, perhaps initially unsettling but ultimately empowering truth. The meaning of your life isn't something waiting to be discovered out there. It's something that must be created, forged moment by moment, choice by choice, right here by you. Imagine being cast onto the stage of existence without a script, without predetermined lines or a defined role. You are simply here. Is this cosmic abandonment a source of terror, a descent into meaninglessness? Or could it be the ultimate act of liberation, granting you the terrifying, exhilarating freedom to write your own story, define your own essence? Existentialism emerges, particularly in the 20th century through thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Albert Camus, as a response to this perceived lack of inherent cosmic purpose. It directly confronts the uncomfortable silence of the universe. Unlike traditional philosophies or religions that often posit a preordained human nature or divine plan, existentialism starts from the raw fact of our being here, flung into the world without an instruction manual. The foundational principle, the cornerstone upon which existentialism rests, is captured in Sartre's famous phrase, "Existence precedes essence." What does this truly mean? Consider an object like a craftsman's tool. Its essence, its purpose, its design, its function exists in the craftsman's mind before the tool is created. It is conceived with a specific role. Existentialism argues that for humans, the reverse is true. If there's no pre-written script, no divine blueprint, no inherent human nature dictating our purpose, then we are radically free. This freedom isn't merely political or social. It's ontological, it's woven into the fabric of our being. We are free to choose who we become, what values we adopt, what projects we pursue. Every action, every decision, every commitment contributes to the ongoing creation of ourself. However, this absolute freedom comes inextricably linked with profound responsibility. If we are the sole authors of our essence, then we alone are accountable for what we become. We cannot blame fate, genetics, divine will, or societal pressure entirely for the person we are. Our choices sculpt our identity. It's crucial here to distinguish existentialism from nihilism. While both acknowledge a lack of inherent, objective meaning in the universe, nihilism often concludes that, therefore, nothing matters, values are baseless, and life is ultimately pointless, potentially leading to apathy or despair. Existentialism, conversely, sees this lack of preordained meaning not as an end, but as a starting point, the necessary condition for creating subjective meaning. Another related concept is absurdism, often associated with Albert Camus. Absurdism highlights the conflict, the clash, between humanity's innate tendency to seek meaning and order, and the universe's apparent meaningless, chaotic silence. The absurd is this divorce between our longing and the world's refusal to satisfy it. So if existence precedes essence, and we are radically free yet responsible, how do we escape the potential paralysis of angst and actually create meaning? Existentialists point towards commitment and action. Meaning isn't found in passive contemplation alone, but through engaging with the world, pursuing projects, forming relationships, and taking stands based on chosen values. It's in the doing, the striving, the committing, that we carve out significance in our lives. Central to this process is the concept of authenticity. Living authentically means acknowledging our freedom and responsibility, making choices that align with our self-created values, rather than conforming to external pressures or denying our liberty. It involves confronting uncomfortable truths about our existence, our finitude, our isolation, the lack of inherent meaning, and choosing to live genuinely in light of them. The opposite of authenticity is bad faith, mauvaise foi, a term popularized by Sartre. Bad faith is a form of self-deception where we pretend we are not free, denying our responsibility by acting as if our choices are determined by external factors, our job, our social role, our past, our nature. We might say, "I had no choice," or "that's just the way I am." Confronting meaninglessness, then, is not the end point, but a necessary catalyst. It's only by looking into the abyss, acknowledging the lack of external guarantees, that we can truly appreciate the power we hold to create our own value. The silence of the universe isn't a condemnation, it's an invitation. It clears the stage for our own performance, our own definition of what matters. How does this creation of meaning manifest in everyday life? It's not necessarily about grand, world-changing gestures. Meaning can be forged in the quality of our relationships, choosing to love, connect, and care for others authentically, recognizing their freedom as well as our own. It's found in committing to our chosen work, finding value in the process, the skill, the contribution, however small it may seem. Simone de Beauvoir, a key existentialist thinker, powerfully extended these ideas to ethics and the situation of women. She argued that societal structures often conspired to cast women into roles defined by others, denying them the freedom to define their own essence. A prime example of culturally enforced bad faith. Contribution to a community or a cause larger than oneself can also be a powerful source of created meaning. By choosing to dedicate our energy towards improving the lives of others, advocating for justice, or preserving knowledge, we embed our actions within a web of shared human value. This isn't about seeking external approval, but about authentically aligning our actions with chosen principles of compassion, solidarity, or progress. Even the simple act of appreciating beauty, engaging deeply with art, music, or nature, can be an existential affirmation. In these moments, we are not necessarily doing in the conventional sense, but we are choosing to engage, to be present, to find resonance and value in the experience itself. The burden of freedom, the weight of responsibility, is undeniable. It demands courage, honesty, and constant vigilance against slipping into bad faith. There are no guarantees of success or happiness. Our projects might fail, our relationships may falter, our values might be challenged. Existentialism doesn't promise a life free from pain or difficulty. It acknowledges suffering and finitude as inescapable parts of the human condition. But within this burden lies its liberating potential. If we are truly the authors of our own meaning, then we are not bound by outdated traditions, arbitrary social expectations, or supposed cosmic decrees we never agreed to. We have the power to question, to redefine, to reinvent. This freedom allows for immense creativity and personal growth. It means that our past does not have to dictate our future. This perspective fundamentally shifts the question. Instead of asking, "What is the meaning of life?" as if searching for a single, universal answer hidden somewhere, existentialism prompts us to ask, "How will I create meaning in my life?" The focus moves from passive discovery to active creation, from seeking external validation to taking internal responsibility. The meaning of your life is not a riddle to be solved, but a structure to be built, brick by brick, choice by choice. Consider the narrative you tell yourself about your own life. Is it one of victimhood, dictated by circumstance? Or is it one of agency, where you acknowledge constraints but focus on the choices you do have? Existentialism encourages us to become conscious authors of our own life story, emphasizing our moments of decision, our commitments, our acts of courage and responsibility. This doesn't mean ignoring the past or external realities. Authenticity requires acknowledging the facticity of our situation, our history, our body, our social context. These are the raw materials we have to work with. But freedom lies in what we make of these facts, the meaning we assign to them, and the future we project from them. We are not defined by our facticity, but we must define ourselves in relation to it. The simplicity hinted at in our title lies here. The search for a grand, external, prepackaged meaning is often futile and anxiety-provoking. The simpler, though perhaps more demanding, path is to recognize that the power and responsibility for creating meaning reside within you. It simplifies the quest by redirecting it inward, towards your choices, actions, and commitments. Meaning isn't complex because it's hidden. It's complex because you must build it. But the blueprint is yours to draw. Embracing this existential freedom requires courage. The courage to face the void without flinching. The courage to make choices without guarantees. The courage to take responsibility for the person you become. The courage to live authentically, even when it's difficult or unpopular. This courage isn't about recklessness. It's about a clear-sighted commitment to living deliberately, aware of the stakes involved in forging one's own essence. It's the foundation upon which a meaningful life, in existential terms, is built. So the answer to the quest for meaning isn't a destination to arrive at, but a way of traveling. It's found in the conscious engagement with life, the acceptance of freedom, and the embrace of responsibility. It's woven into the fabric of committed action, authentic relationships, and the ongoing project of self-creation. Life's meaning isn't whispered by the universe. It's declared through the way you choose to live, day by day, choice by choice. Key takeaway 1. Existence precedes essence. You are not born with a predetermined purpose. You exist first, and through your choices and actions, you define who you are and what your life means. Stop searching for a script. Pick up the pen. Your life's meaning is not found, but forged. This fundamental shift is the bedrock of existential thought, moving the locus of meaning from the external world to your internal agency and decisions. Key takeaway 2. Radical freedom and responsibility. You possess ultimate freedom to choose your values, actions, and the person you become. This freedom is inescapable, but it comes with total responsibility for those choices. Angst arises from this awareness, but denying freedom leads to bad faith or inauthenticity. Embracing this challenging freedom is essential for creating a meaningful existence, as it positions you as the primary architect of your life's value and direction. Key takeaway 3. Meaning is created through action and commitment. Significance isn't passively received. It's actively generated through engaging with the world through projects, relationships, work, creativity, and chosen values. Authenticity in these commitments is key. Meaning arises from the subjective value you place on your chosen endeavors and the way you pursue them. It's the process of striving and committing, not necessarily the final outcome, that imbues life with purpose. Key takeaway 4. Authenticity versus bad faith. Living authentically means consciously owning your freedom, choices, and the self you are creating. Bad faith involves deceiving yourself into believing you are not free, blaming external factors, and conforming passively. Authenticity requires courageously facing the human condition, including freedom, responsibility, and meaninglessness, and living genuinely in response to it. The existential perspective empowers you. It says that even if the universe is silent, your life can resonate with meaning, the meaning you give it. It frees you from the potentially paralyzing search for external validation and places the tools of creation firmly in your own hands. The question shifts from a cosmic plea to a personal declaration. What values will you choose to live by? What commitments will shape your days? What meaning will you choose to build? Therefore, the meaning of life isn't simple in the sense of being easy or effortless. It's simple in its origin. It originates with you. It requires effort, consciousness, and courage. It demands that we stop looking outwards for prefabricated answers and start the internal work of choosing, acting, and valuing. The most profound meaning might be found not in grand cosmic narratives, but in the integrity and commitment we bring to our own finite existence. This perspective invites reflection. Consider the areas in your life where you feel most alive, most engaged, most authentically you. Are these not often tied to choices you've made, commitments you've honored, challenges you've faced with intention? Existentialism suggests these moments are not accidents, but glimpses of the meaning you are actively forging. Recognizing this pattern can help guide future choices toward endeavors that resonate with your self-created values. It also challenges us to examine where we might be living in bad faith. Where do we make excuses, blame circumstances, or deny our freedom to choose differently? Where do we conform out of fear or habit rather than authentic conviction? This self-examination isn't about guilt, but about reclaiming our power. Identifying areas of inauthenticity is the first step toward making conscious choices that align more closely with the person we aspire to become through our own free actions. Ultimately, existentialism offers not a comforting dogma, but a challenging invitation to live more deliberately, more authentically, more meaningfully, precisely because the universe offers no inherent guarantees. The silence isn't empty, it's pregnant with possibility, the possibility for you to create value through your finite, free existence. The meaning of life is simpler than you think, because its source is closer than you imagine. It resides in the choices you make starting now. The weight of this freedom can feel immense, like holding the universe in your hands, responsible for its shape within your own sphere. Yet, within that weight lies the incredible potential for a life imbued with significance that is truly your own. It is a call to artistry, where the canvas is your time, the paints are your choices, and the masterpiece is the authentic self you strive to become through committed living. Consider this not a burden, but a sacred trust given to you by existence itself. Think about the legacy you wish to leave, not necessarily in grand monuments, but in the impact of your choices, the integrity of your commitments, the authenticity of your being. Existentialism suggests this legacy is written daily, in how you treat others, how you approach your work, how you face adversity, and how you cultivate your own character. The meaning isn't just in the final sum, but in the quality of the equation you live out moment by moment. Rejecting preordained meaning doesn't mean rejecting values. On the contrary, it makes the choice of values even more significant. When you consciously select principles like compassion, justice, courage, or creativity as your guiding lights, not because you're told to, but because you choose to, these values gain a profound personal weight. They become the stars by which you navigate your self-charted course across the existential ocean. Your chosen values are the signature of your authentic self. The search for meaning often implies finding something static, a fixed point of reference. Existentialism reveals meaning as dynamic, something that evolves as you evolve. Your commitments might change, your understanding might deepen, your projects might shift focus. Meaning isn't a destination reached, but a path walked, constantly being paved by present choices while informed by past steps and aimed towards a self-chosen future. It's a living process, not a discovered artifact. So if you felt adrift in the search for purpose, perhaps it's time to change the nature of the quest. Stop searching for a map drawn by another hand. Start drawing your own. Acknowledge the vast, silent canvas of existence. Pick up the brush of your freedom, mix the colors of your chosen values, and begin to paint the meaning you wish to see in the world, starting with the strokes of your own life. Summary: we began by acknowledging the universal, often anxious, search for life's meaning. We saw how existentialism reframes this quest, shifting from discovery to creation. Its core tenet, existence precedes essence, places radical freedom and responsibility squarely on the individual. You are not predefined. You define yourself through choices and actions. This contrasts sharply with nihilistic despair or absurdist resignation, offering a path to subjective meaning. Summary continued. Key concepts explored included authenticity, living in accordance with self-chosen values and acknowledging freedom, versus bad faith, the denial of freedom through self-deception. Meaning is forged through commitment, engaging authentically in relationships, work, creativity, and contribution. Confronting meaninglessness isn't an end but a catalyst, clearing the ground for personal value creation. The message simplifies not the effort required but the location of meaning's source. It's not out there in the cosmos or ancient texts, waiting to be found like a hidden treasure. It is in here, within your capacity to choose, to act, to commit, and to value. The meaning of your life is the meaning you actively build into it through conscious, authentic living. It is a continuous project, your responsibility, and ultimately your unique creation. Reflect on this. If you fully embrace the idea that you are the sole author of your life's meaning, what choices would you make differently starting today? What commitments would you deepen? What forms of bad faith would you shed? This isn't just abstract philosophy. It's a practical challenge to live with greater intention, courage, and authenticity. The universe may be silent, but your life doesn't have to be meaningless. Consider the profound liberation in realizing that you don't need external permission or cosmic validation to deem your life worthwhile. Your dedication to your chosen values, your love for others, your passion for your work, your creative expressions, these are self-validating when chosen and pursued authentically. The search for external meaning ends when the internal creation begins. This shift is the core of the existentialist approach to purpose and value. The path of creating meaning is not always comfortable. It demands honesty, confronts us with our finitude, and forces us to make choices without knowing the ultimate outcome. Yet, perhaps it is within this very struggle, this conscious engagement with the raw materials of existence, that the deepest sense of purpose is found. Not a purpose given, but a purpose earned, forged in the fires of freedom and responsibility. This doesn't negate the value of wisdom traditions, spiritual practices, or community beliefs. Existentialism can coexist with these, suggesting that how one commits to a path, authentically, freely, responsibly, is as crucial as the path itself. The meaning derived is ultimately rooted in the individual's conscious affirmation and embodiment of those chosen values and practices, rather than passive acceptance based on external authority alone. In conclusion, the daunting question of life's meaning finds a surprisingly simple, yet profoundly personal answer within existentialism. The meaning of your life is not a pre-written destiny, but an open-ended poem that you compose verse by verse, choice by choice. It is the sum total of your authentic commitments, your responsible exercise of freedom, and the values you choose to embody in the face of a silent universe. The ultimate question, then, is not what is the meaning of life, but rather, what meaning will you create? The power, the responsibility, and the profound opportunity rest entirely with you. How will you wield this freedom? What story will your choices tell? The creation starts now.